Corbetts Cavern. The storm outside the cave was a living thing, clawing at the rocks and howling through the cracks. Corbetts Cavern didn't flinch. It never did. The bar was carved deep into the stone of a forgotten moon, lit by neon strips that flickered like dying stars. Inside, the air was thick with smoke, metal, and the low hum of generators fighting the storm's rage. I slipped into the cavern and let the door slam behind me. No one looked up. No one cared. This was the kind of place where a man could walk in, sit down, and vanish into the shadows without leaving a ripple. That suited me fine. I found a corner where the neon didn't quite reach and settled in. I wasn't here to drink. I wasn't here to talk. I was here to listen. In places like this, the truth doesn't walk up and introduce itself. It leaks out of other people's mouths when they think no one's paying attention. Two smugglers stumbled in from the storm, soaked and loud enough to make the bartender wince. One was trying to keep his voice down. The other was trying to drown his conscience in cheap liquor. They pushed past a table, arguing, and even over the music, I caught the name that made the room tilt for a moment. Rusty. That was all they said about him. One word, a spark, a ghost passing through the conversation. But it was enough to make the quiet one panic and the loud one smirk, like he knew something worth selling. They took a booth near the back, close enough for their voices to carry. I didn't move, didn't lean in, didn't give myself away. I just let the cavern do the work. Sound travels strangely in a place carved from stone. The loud smuggler said the fall hadn't been the strange part. People fall in neon all the time. The strange part was the explanation. A neon security officer had told the widow it was a heart attack. Clean, simple, convenient. Too convenient. The quiet smuggler hissed at him to shut up. But fear makes a man sloppy. He said the officer had been there before the fall, that he'd argued with the victim, that someone had seen him slip something into his pocket afterward, something small, something metallic, something he didn't want anyone to notice. The loud one laughed it off, but his eyes kept darting around the cavern. He said the officer had friends in the right places, friends who made sure no one asked questions, friends who could make a death disappear with a few words and a forged report. The quiet one said the officer had a reputation, that he'd been seen taking credits from the wrong people, that he'd been caught in places a neon security badge shouldn't be, that he had a temper, a secret, a reason to keep the truth buried. The loud one leaned in, voice dropping to a whisper that still carried across the stone. He said the officer's name wasn't spoken out loud, not in neon, not here, not anywhere someone wanted to keep breathing. The quiet one begged him to stop talking, said the officer had eyes everywhere, said even this cavern wasn't safe, said the storm outside wasn't the only thing that could swallow a man whole. The loud one finally shut up, but not because he wanted to, because he'd said too much, because he'd felt the weight of his own words settle on the table between them like a loaded gun. They finished their drinks in silence. Then they left the cavern, one shaking, one pretending not to. The storm swallowed them both. The bartender wiped down the counter, pretending he hadn't heard a thing. The patrons kept their eyes on their drinks. The neon flickered. The cavern breathed. I stayed in the shadows, listening to the silence that followed. Somewhere in neon, a security officer had rewritten a death, had lied to a widow, had buried the truth under paperwork and fear. And now his name was drifting through the universe like a spark looking for fuel. I didn't speak. I didn't move. I didn't follow. I just listened. Because sometimes the truth doesn't need a hero. It just needs a witness.